Hello and welcome along to this week's On the Bench Extra, your weekly local football show here on Estuary TV. As usual, Tom Hardy is in the studio to discuss more football.
Hi, Reid.
Hello. Don't forget we are on social media as well. Coming up on today's show, we look at interviews and highlights from North Ferriby's FA Trophy semi-final triumph. We'll look at the upcoming fixtures and of course we have much more football chat. We'll start with Hull City being fined for breaking the financial fair play rules. If they're not compliant next season, this figure doubles. However, Liverpool have not been fined. Is this fair, first of all, Hardy?
Well, first point I think has got to be, I don't think anyone actually understands how these rules work. You've got teams around Europe who are spending millions and millions and, you know, they're not being punished for it. And I know your outlay has got to be, you know, equate to whatever the amount that you're taking in. But it just doesn't seem to make sense. And it seems to be as if Hull have been punished purely for getting into Europe.
Now, the figure that's being bandied about, they've been fined £145,000. If they're not compliant next season to these rules, that will double. Now, Steve Bruce has said he thinks this is a penalty from a result of the cost that they incurred getting out of the Championship. Would you say that's probably correct? Yeah,
it could be correct. And as I've just said, it seems like they're a club that have come from the Championship and they have worked the way to get into Europe and they've done it reasonably fairly when you look at things, and they've sort of been punished. They've not done a Monaco and come up from the second division in France and chucked millions and millions of pounds into it.
Now, do you personally think this is a good idea for football clubs? Because obviously your Man Uniteds of this world have X amount of money to spend and your Hull Cities have X amount. So it's all relative, really. You can only spend what you kind of make in profit. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, it is fair because it needs to control it, but it needs to be substantial. The rule doesn't seem to be accounting for the big clubs that are going around spending stupid amounts of money on players. So I think if they're going to look into it, that they've got to sort of tailor it a little bit better. And I think FIFA and UEFA have got to be a little bit tighter with the teams at the top that are chucking money everywhere.
Yeah, because obviously Man City, billionaire owners, they can chuck so much at it because they're making so much a year from Champions League. Now, obviously, clubs like Hull City have to spend money to get out of the Championship. You know, it's very rare they can do that with youth players and development players, so they have to spend that cash. So, you know, where do Hull City go from now? Do they spend to stay in the Premier League and risk falling out and not spending?
I think they have to risk spending and staying in the Premier League because the amount of money they make from staying in the Premier League will obviously account for the money they'd lose in the Championship, going down to back down to that league. So they really need to stay in the Premier League. Obviously, this will be in the back of the mind. And, you know, the guys at the top that are controlling finances will have to think about it.
Thank you, Hardy. Yeah, controversial point. So we'll look back at the latest set of results from this week. Damon Doy scored his third goal in 5 games for Hull, only for Jack Rodwell to equalise for Sunderland. However, the big talking point afterwards was the spat on the touchline involving Steve Bruce and Gus Poyet. Scunthorpe twice came from behind to gain a point away to Fleetwood Town. First from Gary McSheffrey and the second by George Evans. Grimsby Town beat Braintree 1-0 last Saturday at Blundell Park thanks to a Craig Disley second-half header from Kyle Magnay's cross. The result extends their unbeaten record to 3 games. And finally, Billy Heath's North Ferriby side are off to Wembley to face Wrexham in the FA Trophy final on Sunday the 29th of March. The Church Road faithful prayers were answered as goalkeeper Adam Nicklin was the villagers' saviour, saving 2 Bath City penalties. It was then left to Jason St Just to score the decisive penalty, who won the shootout 4-2 after the game ended 3-3 after extra time. North Ferriby, they're off to Wembley, Hardy. So, you know, we said that in previous episodes. What are your thoughts on that, firstly?
Yeah, well, we've got to start on that, haven't we? Obviously, it's absolutely massive, and I'm sure you as you being the North Ferriby fan you are now, Reid, you're absolutely loving it. It's just massive for the club, and I think if you'd had gone to any fan at the start of the season and said you'll be going to Wembley, they wouldn't have believed you. It's just an amazing achievement, and you know, we're just fingers crossed they can win it now.
As I alluded to last week, half of these lads are probably painters, butchers, farmers. I don't know what they do. You know, they're not full-time footballers, so this is incredible. How do you think they'll fare in that final?
Well, they've got as good a chance as anyone. It's a final of a cup. So we've seen in the FA Cup previously that anything can happen, and on the day, it just matters on the team. Maybe you need a slice of luck. Should North Ferriby be afraid of Wrexham, or should they just go out and play the game they've been playing? Not
at
all. They should just go out and play it the way they have been. There's obviously a reason. Maybe they've had a few lucky draws going through the cup, but if they just go into the game, play the way they have been, I don't see why they can't win it.
Craig Van Disley, then obviously the hero for Grimsby Town. Have you seen the header?
I've seen the header. I was there. It was a fantastic header.
What do you think to that result as a whole?
The game was very poor. The Performance wasn't fantastic. The pitch didn't look in great nick either, actually. But a win's a win, and that's what Grimsby needed, obviously, to try and close that gap at the top and just keep the pressure on the teams that are around them. So it was a big result, although the performance wasn't great. We'll
avoid the spat between Bruce and Poyet. Let's look at the result. A draw, fair draw?
I think from the sound of it, Hull missed a lot of chances, which has been the story of their season, unfortunately. So not a fantastic result. They'll have been hoping to win those games. Sunderland, a team that
it's a good point against a relegation rival.
It is. They're in and around them now, so they're wanting to get 3 points, especially at home.
Of course, every point matters. Let's relive that FA Trophy semi-final then with North Ferriby. As we predicted, Hardy, a very, very tight game. Not much between the sides. That was evident because over 180 minutes, no side could win that tie. It was decided on penalties. What are your thoughts on that overall semi-final, you know, the two legs?
Well, amazing, obviously, the way it was decided on penalties. There must have been so many nerves, you know, between the players and the fans that were there. But it's just hysteria. I mean, it's just absolute madness, really, that they've actually got there. And they've done so well in actually getting to Wembley as well. It's a fantastic achievement for the club, it really is.
Financially, obviously, it's massive as well for the club. Do you think this will help their future league seasons as well?
Possibly could do, yeah. Like you said, the financial side's quite big. But taking away the financial side, just the actual honour of playing at Wembley is just absolutely massive, and it's something these players will remember for the rest of their careers.
That will go down in FA history as well.
Definitely.
You know, if they could win that, which, do you think they can win that?
Yeah, as we said earlier, I think they've got as good a chance as, you know, as anyone that was in it. Just because it's Wrexham, they've got nothing to be scared of. Wrexham aren't doing great in the league, so, you know, North Ferriby, it's theirs to win.
It's theirs for the taking. We'll touch on Scunthorpe United as well, about that midweek draw at Fleetwood. Fleetwood are 14th in the league. Scunthorpe are obviously lower than that. But again, is that a good point? Is it a point gained at Fleetwood, or is that 2 points dropped at Fleetwood?
Well, the thing that's concerning me now is the fact that Scunthorpe, that gap towards the playoffs is getting bigger and bigger now, and Scunthorpe had all of those games in hand, and now they're shortening. They've not got as many games in hand on some of the teams above. So their chance to actually gain the opportunity and go further towards the playoffs is slimming, and they're getting closer to the relegation zone, which we didn't want them to do.
Last week we did say if they don't start picking up these wins, that gap will increase from the playoffs, and it's looking ever more unlikely.
Exactly.
Scunthorpe are 17th, Fleetwood are 14th, so again, not much between the sides. So I think that's a game that could have gone either way. It's a point gained, I believe. How's Scunthorpe's season going to pan out from now? What do you see happening from now?
Well, it's difficult to say again because it is still so tight. Although that gap has got bigger towards the playoffs, it's still so tight. If they can go on a run of winning 5 or 6 games on the trot, they're right back in the mix of it. Similarly, if they lose 5 or 6 games, then they're really, really, towards the relegation zone.
Literally up and down for Scunthorpe United.
Can't call League One at the moment. So difficult.
One thing we can call is Greg. Every week he challenges us with a new challenge. So this week we'll start with Hardy's attempt. Here it is.
Myhill, Duke, Guzan, McShane, Rossinia, Quinn, Myler, Giovanni, Boateng, Altidore, Fryer,
Well, Hardy, a poor attempt. Have you had your Weetabix today?
off form, a bit like Abel Hernandez.
We'll see how I got on in part 2. This week's halftime teaser is who scored a brace for Scunthorpe United when they played Crewe in 2007. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Extra. Now, Billy Sharp was the man you was after. He scored a brace against Crewe when they won 3-1 in February 2007. Still to come, we hear from North Ferriby after that victorious victory. But first, here's the next part of this week's challenge. Bambi, Dimani, Kamil Zayate, Dawson, Guzan, Corrin, Huddleston, a rare draw between us, Hardy.
Strange one.
Very difficult this week, actually. The answers you could have had were Amos, Chester, Dudgeon, Fay, Bruce Evans, Corrin, El Mohammadi, Quinn, Simpson and Aluko. How did we forget those?
Well, I had 3 or 4 that were on the bench for that game.
That is true. I just didn't get them anyway. This week we spoke to North Ferriby United, Matt Carroll and Adam Nicklin. So let's hear from those now.
It's still struggling to sink in, to be perfectly honest. But obviously, all the media sort of coverage we're getting and all the well wishes and people sort of contacting you, it's been a busy time. There's never a good time to concede a goal, but if you're going to concede a goal the first minute, then you've got 89 minutes to sort of get back into the game. And I thought after sort of the first sort of 15 sort of minutes, when we were a bit shocked, we got a foothold in the game, and I thought from then we were the better team, and it was only a matter of time, I thought, before the goal had come. It's what we all dream of, isn't it, really? So yeah, it'll be fantastic. It's going to be a little bit difficult because we still got a football match to win, so we don't want to go there as tourists as such. We want to enjoy the moment, but we also want to sort of bring the cup back, so it's a balance we've got to get right now between now and March the 29th.
Going into it, really, just excitement. Just hopefully trying to win the game, to play at Wembley. That was always on my mind, but no, it was more just get the job done, see how the game goes, see how it pans out, but we got the win in the end, and that was the main thing. Well, I got the two first saves. There was main ones. Relax the lads a little bit. but we took really good penalties, hit the target, top corners, and that's the way we got it. Wrexham, all I know is they used to be a professional team, and they're in the league above us. They're a good team, they beat Torquay, but the main thing is we're playing at Wembley. So we'll enjoy the day, but when it comes down to it, we'll give it our best shot. Never played there, so it's a first thing for me, but yeah, just really excited. Can't wait to get there and get my boots on.
A massive, massive achievement for North Ferriby, and from all the team here, all the best of luck, and we will be following Ferriby from now until the rest of the season. As we know, Hardy, it's a results business. It's very pressured for managers. Gus Poyet displayed that in midweek. He was, venting some frustration. He got a bit angry. Managers are under pressure, Hardy. No more than Gus Poyet. Why is that? What's going wrong at Sunderland?
Well, he's picked on the wrong guy, hasn't he? And Steve Bruce, really. You know where to pick your fights. I think it's the pressure. I think the pressure has taken hold, and I think that's why he reacted in the way he did against Hull. I don't think it's necessarily regarding the situation about one of their players at the moment. I think it's more to do with the fact that they're in a real mess and they're in a fight at the bottom of the Premier League table. More
than likely they are relegation candidates. Is it what's going wrong? Is it the squad? Is it the first choice 11? Is it things behind the scenes? Is it the manager, the chairman?
Well, they're another team with a lack of goals, and obviously they brought Defoe in, who's a great signing. I can't understand why Fletcher's not scoring. I know he had a lot of injury problems last season, but he's done it in the Premier League. He did it when he first came with Burnley, who, years back when they were relegated, and he got about 14, 15 goals.
As you say, there's no striker there scoring goals. The top scorer is Adam Johnson with 5 goals in 28 appearances. That's in all competitions. It's not great when a midfielder's your top scorer, only with 5 goals.
Not at all, and the other players aren't chipping in, and obviously Defoe, I don't think is much further behind than that. I think he's got 3 or 4 already. So you need your other players chipping in. Usually you can rely on players like Larson to score a few free kicks. He's got decent delivery. Giaccherini should be doing better. He was an Italy international until not long ago. So they've got some quality players in there. I can't see where the problem is. It's probably in defence.
The last 6 results they haven't won since they beat Fulham 3-1 in the FA Cup, 4th round replay. Then they obviously lost that to Bradford, which is disappointing, really. And they've lost the last 3 or 4 league fixtures as well. So something's going wrong for Sunderland. After Adam Johnson, it's Stephen Fletcher with 4 goals, and then as you say, Defoe with maybe 3 or 4 now. How crucial is Defoe to keeping Sunderland in the Premier League?
Oh, he's absolutely massive. They really are going to have to rely on him. They've got a really good signing there. He's proven in the Premier League. With a team that's fighting against relegation, he's the sort of player you can just get the ball in the box and rely upon him to do something in there. Hopefully he can score the goals that will propel them.
I don't know why Tottenham got rid of him, to be honest, because he's a prolific striker. I do rate Defoe. I think that's a good bit of business for Sunderland. Will Sunderland stay up? Yes or no?
Yes.
Gus Poyet, sack or stick?
Stick for now.
Good choice. Let's look at the upcoming fixtures for this weekend. Hull City don't play until next week. Scunthorpe will be looking to complete a double against Crewe, which will see them close the gap on the sides above them in the table. A victory will go some way to help consolidate their place in the division. Grimsby Town travel to Woking, a side that has yet to beat them in 5 meetings. It could also see former Mariner Aswad Thomas face his ex-teammates for the first time since he moved down south. And finally, Billy Heath will hope his North Ferriby side can focus on league action between now and the FA Trophy final and finish in a respectable league position. They play Lowestoft Town for only the 2nd time in their history. We'll start with Grimsby Town, away at Woking, playing Woking this week. What are your thoughts on that tie?
Woking are a team that were doing great at the start of the season, up to about Christmas, and they've sort of died off a little bit. But obviously it's not a given, it's not an easy game. So Grimsby are going to have to go there, do a professional job, and keep racking up the pressure on the teams around them. They need 3 points. If they're realistic about still winning the league, then they've got to do that. There's no other option. Again,
stats say that Grimsby last went there, the last meeting was November 2013, and they won 2-1 at Woking. But this Grimsby Town side, as we mentioned, it's up and down, we can't call it. How realistic is a win there? I mean, Woking were playing well, they're not so much now, but how realistic is a win for Town?
It is realistic, and I think on the stats, I don't think Woking's record against Grimsby is all that good. Obviously Paul has to be open, that goes in Grimsby's favour. So they just need to go down there and do a professional job. Even if they get another 1-0, I'm sure the fans won't be complaining, because at the end of the day, it is another 3 points.
Scunthorpe United have another tough test. They're away at Crewe. This last meeting Crewe won 1-0 here. Scunthorpe may have improved since then, they may have not. You know, it's a different team now. What are your thoughts on that, Ty?
I think Scunthorpe will beat Crewe. I feel confident with that. Crewe are a team, again, that are in and around Scunthorpe. They were really struggling to start the season. They were at the bottom for quite a while, I believe, and they've sort of picked themselves up out of it. But as you say, like we said in League One earlier, no game is a given. It is so tight in there.
Scunthorpe have obviously failed to beat Fleetwood and Yeovil as well, which they're not doing great in the league. So
Yeovil are bottom, so
yeah, exactly. So you know, Scunthorpe could easily lose this, Hardy.
They could, yeah. And as we say just about every week, they're going to have to rely on that firepower.
Hopper and Madden.
Yeah, they're going to need the strikers to perform, and if they do, I mean, I can see them beating Crewe. I think it'll be 2 or 3-1.
Now, a massive game for Hull City against Leicester City. The record between these two, Leicester have won 26, they've drawn 22, and Hull City have won 28. So again, who needs stats? They don't mean anything really, but in the history that, you know, they're pretty close.
Yeah, they are, and obviously they've got that week off. So that's going to be, well, I don't know which way it's going to play for Hull, because we've seen when they've had weeks off before, when they've gone away and been on sort of holiday camps and things, they haven't done fantastically well when they've come back. But they'll be hoping, obviously, that'll invigorate them, and because they had a midweek game, it gives them about 10-11 days off. So if they can use that wisely, get prepared and get fresh and play against a team that are another team that are down in the relegation zone with them.
The last meeting of this fixture was in the Championship. It was September 2012, a few years ago now. Leicester won 3-1. So, you know, how do you see that? Can I have a score from you?
I will go with 2-2.
2-2.
2-2. I think Nugent got a hat-trick last time they played, so let's hope he doesn't do it again.
North Ferriby are having a stab in the dark this weekend. They've never played Lower Stoft at Church Road. What's this fixture going to be like? Now, the ecstasy of winning that semi-final, they're in the final. You know, their thoughts are going to be on that. How's this league fixture going to be affected?
Yeah, well, we all know where their minds are going to be, and I know it's at the end of the month and they've got a couple of weeks left, but it's going to be so difficult now to actually focus on the league, I believe. If I was in the player's position, you know, you're just thinking about Wembley, you're thinking about, I can't get injured. And, you know, as bad as it sounds, that is going to be playing in the back of the mind.
So you're saying players will not give 100%, they'll be slightly wary of getting injured, going in for these tackles? Not
necessarily meaning not to give 100%, but subconsciously, I think, maybe there'll be something in the back of their head that says, I can't go in for this tackle because otherwise I could miss out on playing at Wembley.
I do agree. Can I take a score from you, Hardy, for that one?
1-1.
So that's a wrap for this week. We've run out of time. You can catch us every Saturday morning here on Estuary TV at 10 o'clock. Don't forget, On the Bench is back every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. It's Rob Underwood this week. Don't forget to join them for all other local sports. You can get in touch with this show on social media, Facebook, Twitter and email. So from us and the rest of the team, for this week, it's goodbye.